people want data, right? And here in the United States, there are people that are promoting, that are alleged biohackers, and 60% of what they say is incorrect, which is kind of crazy. But people are searching for this kind of information, right? And the world from a healthcare standpoint is changing significantly, right? It's changed significantly over the last 4 years. There's no going back to where things were before. And I don't think now that people understand where we were, where we've been, where we're going, that you'd ever want to go back. So if you have the means, if you're a business person, and all of us are here, because just like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I am a business, right? And when you accept that and you understand that the fact that you are a business and that you've been used your entire life to create value for other organizations, other entities, other individuals without benefiting yourself, you might begin to understand why we created the Rootiverse. But you now have a primary tool that you can go to your friends about, not pitch anything about a product, right? Not pitch anything about, oh my God, I found this thing. It is the coolest thing ever. You can go to somebody and say, you know what? You've got to have this panel done. This genetic panel is going to show you everything you need to know about you. Let me send you a link on it, because you can do a deep link direct to your root account specific for this panel. I'm going to send you this link right now. You got to get this thing done. I just got it ordered. You should see what this is showing for people. And you're going to make 15%, or you're going to make 10%, or you could even make 25% if you did it right. And you can become a business based on that premise alone, because the profitability that an individual, if I went to a lab and I wanted to create a lab test, and then I was going to sell it in the public for the extensiveness that this panel has, the margin that I would make for doing this panel at this price, I just gave to our community. Wait, what? Yes. So the money that would be available for profit is now in your hands. You've got the most powerful, dynamic, individualized program, system, products, solutions, registry, proof, outcomes, and mechanisms available on the planet. Now, if you want to make your life really simple based on everything that I just went through, every one of you is now if you use this, and if you choose to promote yourself accordingly, every one of you is now the world's leading expert on biohacking and health, performance, and regeneration. Because now you have the ability to do a panel on someone and say, look, we're going to get your playbook. So, and once you have that done, they buy into that test. It takes a few weeks to get those results back, but you know what they're going to be able to do and use. You're going to use Clean Slate. You're going to use Zero In. You're going to use Restore. You're going to use Relive Greens. You're going to use Give Me Back My Youth. You're going to use Natural Barrier Support. You're going to use Immune Defense Shield. You're going to use Sculpt. You're going to use Crush. Did I miss one? I don't think I missed one. And based on what those do and what that profile is, you're going to be able to align and shift everyone's performance and function based on their epigenetics, based on what you can see on their genetic profile. How do I know that? Because I did it with myself. And I've only got 45 years in health and performance, in integrative health and performance. And because of my experience and because of Christina's experience in and around this space, we worked really hard to have this developed and designed to give everyone what we would want. And then we gave away all the money. because our goal is to help as many people with the products. So we didn't want to make the money on selling the labs. This is the same thing for practitioners. Most doctors don't want to make money on their lab work. They want to make money on visits. They want to make money on working with a patient. Well, we took that and we literally amplified this to an extent that no one's ever seen before. So you guys have tools now that no one can compete with you on. That's if you understand Google Analytics and you guys understand, what if, now imagine this, what if you had access to a tool that would allow you to create social media content, social content, develop websites, and do SEO all through AI based on a design of a voice that you would want. We'll call it the rootbrands.ai, powered by NowSite. And you could start creating websites specific to this genetic test that you could put a link in that goes right to your site, to the specific order link just for this genetic panel, that you could have this system, this artificial intelligence derived system that would write the content for you to optimize sales of this genetic test to everybody in the world that is searching for these things. And maybe you might take a little bit of time to maybe ask ChatGPT to say, act as a world's leading search engine optimization specialist and give me the word tracking, the language, the keywords that people are searching for genetic testing, and write me content for a website that would allow me to promote this specific test. You guys have all of that in your fingertips. It's all available for you right now. If you invest the time in yourself to become really good at what you can do, I'll tell you a secret. This group that is actually a massive marketing machine that is putting out content on biohacking that is 60% incorrect. 3 months ago, on their horrible genetic panel for MTHFR, they did $10 million in revenue. Sold $10 million in a bad genetic test that they couldn't even fulfill. You guys have the most advanced test on the market now in something that everyone's looking for because they would love this if they had it. The biohacking community, people want this. The Olympics are going on right now. This is something that every athlete of any kind should have done. And you have it at a price that's less than what anybody can offer it, and it's commissionable to you, which means if you want to be an expert in health and biohacking and performance, and you want to be a consultant, and you want to help people, and you want to be at the forefront of an industry so you know that whoever you're talking to, you are the best at this, no one can compete with you, you're welcome. We just gave you the keys. And maybe you now want to go out and talk to all of these people that are health experts, that are talking about how they want to help people, and all these podcasters and all these influencers and all of these different people and all these universities that are paying loads of money to bring in athletes and athletic systems and athletic programs and athletic coaches and parents of kids that have health issues and parents of kids that want their kids to have the best opportunity in life to be the healthiest, the most functional, the most dynamic kids they could ever be. Is it worth $500? Would you, as a parent, would you spend $500 to know exactly how your kid was going to function? To be able to show your child how they should eat, that they should never shop in the middle of the grocery market, because they have their own playbook. They're able to read what Marty said. One of the 2 books that they only need to go through to understand themselves, who they are. They become better connected to who? Not the crap that they're seeing on social media, not what the idiots are putting out with AI-generated content on TikTok and on social media to program your kids on how they're supposed to be in order to be docile, controllable, manipulated, and poisoned, but how they can understand who they are and how they can become the best versions of themselves. And maybe you could teach them a slogan like that.
So, hey, Clayton, I have a question. What would you recommend? Because we did lower the price a lot, which is awesome, and we're very happy about that. But what would you recommend an ambassador do? So we always say ambassadors are in charge of their own, they run their own business. What would you recommend ambassadors do if they have customers who maybe can't afford the whole test?
I would tell them to create an account and tell their friends, and they make money on it too. Or if
Or,
you, what would, you know what? We were having this great marketing conversation yesterday, and you are my son. So, and you are your mother's child. And you have an interesting perspective because you're different than both of us. And we had a very good conversation over marketing and business development. So aside from how I would look at it, how would you take this approach? What would you do? What would you want your mom to do, or what would you do now? Because you're 5 years out from having babies.
I will say the combination of what Dr. Ram and Clayton would do. Dr. Ram would say that the focus and goal of Root is always to help people. And at the end of the day, this genetic test gives the toolbox for people to really be able to help themselves and lay the groundwork for, I am getting sick. I don't know what's going on with my body. Here, all of a sudden, I can get answers. And so if you are an ambassador and you are serious about your business and you're serious about helping people afford this test is going to be a win for you. So if somebody can't afford the full test, and that means you have to send them over $200 to their wallet.
You could buy a token. Could you buy a token?
Or buy a token and send it over to them. And then they're able to buy it. And at the end of the day, you're helping somebody.
But it gives them something. Wait, keep going. I know where you're going here.
On top of that, as a Root ambassador, it is also helping your business, though. If you are serious about being a business, you have to invest money to get stuff out of it. And so if you help somebody purchase this test, even if it's 2 or 3 people, and it's really the ones that can't purchase it themselves, what's going to happen is that they're going to get a report that shows they are deficient in blah, 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 and recommend a Root product that could help with that. And so if you are really serious about helping your business and being a Root ambassador, that gives you the perfect in. Here you go. I've given you this tool that helps you lay the groundworks of what you are deficient in, what you are lacking in. But not only that, I have products that is with the company I'm working with that can assist you with that. And so this is one of the scenarios where it might mean you have to invest money, but the long-term return on it is there, and you're helping somebody. I hear Dylan trying to add something.
So Dylan, I'm going to put you on pause for a second because I want to extrapolate on this insight.
Yes, Papa.
And I'm going to use the example, who's your daddy now, of a conversation that I had last week with some colleagues. One of my buddies asked me, it's like, hey, I got a friend who he's insulin resistant. He's got high blood pressure. He's got these issues, and his doctor put him on Ozempic, and it's destroying him. He's like, what? And they're using 0N. He absolutely loves it, and they share it with people. And he's like, what would you tell my friend to do? I was like, clean slate, 0N, restore, relive, green, sculpt, and crush. And it's going to run him about $400 a month. And he looked at me, he's like, well, he's having to pay $700 a month right now for Ozempic, and that's not helping him. So if that's going to do it, it's actually going to save him money. So I'm going to extrapolate on what Duquesne said. What if you had someone that said, you know what, I can't afford $500? You say, great. You know what I'll do? I'm going to send you a token. I'm going to give you a $250 token that's going to cut that price in half. So it can be $250 for you. But what if, because of doing that, they then understand that they can change their entire dietary regimen, what they're spending money on at the store, what they're spending money on bad produce. And maybe they spend $500 a month on Root products that addresses everything that they get, which means you're going to make about 20% on what they purchase. Why is it 20%? 15% direct, plus the daily pay benefits, and if you put them on RPS, well, there's an extra bonus. That means if they're doing $500 a month on RPS, you're making over $100 a month on that one individual, which means in 3 months, you've made your $250 back, but you're also going to get rewarded on the purchase of that genetic test. So that's actually a win too. So would you spend $250 a month or $250 one time to make $1,200 a year? And if you were a business person, how often would you do that? Because you know what? If I took this business model alone to some of my hedge fund buddies and said, here's our model. We are going to have people get this test. We might even subsidize that test. And based on that test, they're going to spend this. And we're going to make this on that genetic test, you know, on recurring revenue, knowing the stickiness. Our stickiness rate for root is 87%. But if we could put someone on a recurring order because they know genetically this is what they should be doing, I can build $1 billion market valuation based on what I just told you. Now, what's interesting is instead of us doing it on our own, because I could do that right now. We just gave all of you that same opportunity, that same model, the same way to run a business that Duquesne was just going over. And now I turn it over to the artist formerly known as Craven D.
Yeah, so I want to kind of touch on what Duquesne was saying too. If I have an idea already with these genetic tests and how the reduced price is actually better for what I was thinking is my rugby team, the national rugby team. If you give it to a high level athlete and say, hey, here's where you're lacking and here are the products that you could use to make yourself better. Like Clayton's saying, it all ties in together with a stickiness rate of 87%. It's insane. That's 87%. That's 87% sticky rating with products that don't have a direct impact. It's just, oh, here's a product line. See how it works for you. With this genetic test, it will actually tell your people in your downline, take this to improve here specifically, and here's how you're going to see these results. If
So,
I was
Dylan,
an ambassador,
I'll keep going.
if I was an ambassador, I would give away. If I would take my whole community and do a giveaways and say, hey, I'll buy you a genetic test. I'll pay for this for one lucky winner in my downline who's more interactive. Maybe you go to your downline and say, hey, the next person to sign up 5 people, I'm going to give them a genetic test. And then use that and have 20-person Zoom calls with your ambassadors underneath you, with your downline, with your customers, and walk them through why this genetic test is so important. Because people don't understand the difference it can actually make to your overall health, the difference it can make to an overall athlete's perspective, and just overall gaining knowledge about products and yourself is beneficial for everyone. So with the actual size you're getting, Clayton is giving you the best opportunity to expand all the products into someone in your downline and people around them too.
So I'm gonna dive into your wheelhouse on this. No, don't go on mute because we're gonna geek out now. So what we just saw in my Slim report, right? Oh, oops, let me go.
Clay, I'm giving you 5 minutes, so then we'll have time for questions at the end.
Yes. So Dylan, we have in the panel, just on the Slim report, the ability to look at protein metabolism and protein use.
Mm-hmm.
You have 5 minutes on Crush. Go.
Okay, so first off, if I have a genetic test that tells me that I metabolize protein slower, let's say you take one aspect of protein, you say, oh, leucine, your body does not, sorry, I'll slow down. Your body does not take in that properly. Well, that means that when you're eating just normal steak, chicken, or wherever you get your protein from, you're not going to get the full influx of that protein through bioavailable protein synthesis. Your body won't actually take that in properly. So let's say you eat 200 grams of protein per day. Well, realistically speaking, you're only going to ingest about 100 grams, and those 100 grams aren't going to have the proper amino acids that you need to grow. That can be told through your genetic testing, and you can find out, or the person in your downline can say, oh, I need this Crush, or maybe I need 2 times the servings of Crush, or maybe like you're Duquesne or myself, and you need to do a full scoop of Crush to make sure that your body's getting what it needs based on your weight and your genetic markers. Crush is one of those things, and actually Sculpt too. If I know you talked about it a little bit, Clayton, but with Ozempic, people have a lot of issues with GLP-1s. with Sculpt and Crush combination, if you know properly what your body needs and how to take it, the actual change in muscular definition is going to be unheard of for most of you people that haven't really delved into it. With there you go. That's a nice look right there. But to keep it slow with that and keep it on time for Duquesne, just understand the more you understand with how to take in these products, the more you know how to say, oh, maybe my giving back my youth, those peptides are gonna be better served for me in the afternoon because my body's gonna be more available to take in collagen peptides. Well, then you're gonna actually benefit yourself in workouts and your normal day-to-day activities, and you can actually start stacking products correctly. But you can also have the knowledge in your downline to say, oh, you took this test and it's telling you this. Well, let's go to someone and have this read out for us so we can know how to take your products. You can now become someone guiding them in their own fitness journeys.
So what if you did this as a woman that was 40, 50, 60, 70 years old?
Well, honestly, the benefits for someone who's older, I'll say this, men and women past about 25, 26, your testosterone and estrogen levels start decreasing down, and you have influx in your levels of being able to rebuild muscle. So when you know how to actually operate bodies correctly, you can be 40, 50 years old, and you can start feeling like you're 30 years old again for a lot of times with your joints. Go ahead, Duquesne. Sorry, I know you said something.
Well, I was going to say, if you don't feel like you are the expert yet on the test or genetics, you don't necessarily have to be, because what Clayton and Dylan and Patrick have been working on including in the test is recommendations. There we go. So it will say, oh, we find this, a suggestion is take Crush from the Root brands. And then you could be there and say, oh, here's the link to Crush. Here you go. So again, not everyone's a science expert. I'm not. I do not know the science at all, but that's why the test is useful, because it takes care of half of that for me. But I also see that Nurse Christy has a question, and I want to get to questions before the end. Do I have to ask you to unmute? There we go. No, you got it.
There we go.
Okay, so recently, Clayton put out a video specifically for depression.
Oh, hold on. Wait, I got to make sure that I hit on this correctly. I did not do that. I voiced it. I got to give a shout out to Marty and the marketing crew and everybody else that did that, because I didn't write it. I didn't produce it. I didn't cut it. I didn't edit it. I spoke on it. And this is the part of team. They crushed that thing. But keep going.
Yes, they crushed it. All parties involved. If you guys as a team could do something like that with the genetic testing, I think that would help tremendously with the ambassadors who are trying to put the information out, but they don't have the words and they don't have the knowledge to put it out.
Oh,
okay.
yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Because I think that, sorry, Duquesne, I think that with what Clayton has touched on, with the number of people who are out there who are trying to market things, and they're coming from a marketing standpoint and not from a place of Dr. Christina of just trying to help people. They're putting it out as a way to make money. Here's this test to tell you that you need to buy my product, as opposed to take this test so that we can help you better improve your individual body. And if the team puts something like that out, that's very quick, like the 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, I think that would help all of the ambassadors tremendously.
Can I point out two things? And one is what Nurse Christy just did by saying, hey, here's this test to help you. And that being the focus. And I think that is so important, because at the end of the day, that should be everyone's focus here. And I promise you, if you go into things with a heart of caring, good things will follow and the business will follow. And so if you, as ambassadors, I feel like I'm my mom right now, but if
lead
you
with love, baby,
and you do lead with, hey, here's this test that will help you. And then after the test, you can say, we do have products that help you if you are interested. If not, you can go somewhere else and maybe you'll come back. But leading with that heart of caring and love is so important. So thank you first, Nurse Christy, for saying that, because I think that's important. Second,
let me show you one thing to that real quick as we pull this up. If you looked at, so lactose intolerance, but where was it? Folate, and I want to look at the MTHFR, right? So I'm a little bit below average, which I know why, but you see down here it says, well, here's some of the stuff that you should eat. Well, smoking can decrease folate levels. You don't want to do that. You know, you should eat lentils, pinto beans, asparagus, broccoli are excellent sources, because I need a little bit more based on what I was doing. But this was also before I was being more diligent in doing the things that I'm doing now. But I know my metabolism of bees is a little bit decreased. So knowing what I know, and it says that I should eat more folate rich foods, well, I just take a couple teaspoons of Relive greens. All good to go, baby.
I have one question I saw in the chat earlier. Someone mentioned that it'd be nicer to have a European lab for testing, and we are actually going to start moving into a European lab for the European tests. That will be when we start like moving more tests in Europe. We're going to do bulk orders between US and Europe, but right now, because the volume of them are so low, we're shipping them all out of HQ from the office. So there will be more laboratories that we can send them to, which will decrease time for the returns on some tests. I just want to point that out for everyone. So it gets a little bit better for worldwide. Right now it's just US, but we are starting to move to that when we get larger. And then someone also asked about dosing for, well, Crush and Sculpt. And Duquesne may answer this one, but everyone's doses on a lot of products are going to be varied between their weights, ages, and level of activity between products. So whatever we say on these calls, make sure you're worrying about yourself and asking like nutritionist or another doctor type person to help out with the dosing.
So Nicole just asked a question, and can this help people dealing with major health issues? Yeah, when you start to understand your genetics, and as if you're dealing with a word that starts with cancer, just so everyone knows here, and granted, I only have 45 years of experience around integrative health in humans and animals. So I got to watch cancer rates in animals explode, you know, from my time in my career. And when I was 12, my mom shaved my head, and I got to go to school and tell people that I had leukemia, which they thought I was Ryan White. You really have to know the AIDS epidemic in order to understand that reference. But people thought that I was like highly contagious because cancer really didn't exist when I was a kid. There's no cure for cancer. There never will be a cure for cancer. So anybody that wants to have a topic specifically on cancer, there's our position. You don't need to treat cancer. You don't need to try to cure cancer. You're never going to get anywhere with it. But what you have to do is do what Christine has done, of take care of the entire environment. You got to take care of the toxins. You got to take care of the fungus. You got to take care of the parasites. You have to create balance. And if you do those things, you'll never have a single, you know, major issue over time, because it does take time and it takes dedication and it takes some persistence in doing the right things. But one thing that I've learned in my 45 years of experience in health in humans and animals is that a healthy system never has health problems. And now it's time to turn this over to my wife.
Yeah, just to go back to Nurse Christy, the marketing team is working on making those sort of short videos for every single product. So Zero In was kind of the test run to kind of make, I don't want to call them hype videos because that gives a weird, but do you kind of that like 1 to 2 minute marketing videos, maybe that's a better word. So since the Zero In one did so well, Joy and Marty and our marketing team are working on slowly producing those for every product. So we'll have that done for the Reno product when it's relaunched. We'll have it for the peptide line. And then we're going to go back and try to do it for the genetic test, the Sculpt, Crush, so on. But I am going to let everyone go. Thank you for this call. The Root University is next, which will have a lot more of the science involved. I was trying to keep this on ambassador skills and sales, and then the science one will be done by the doctor. So thank you, everybody, and reach out if you have questions. And Nurse Christy, I private messaged you, but you can email me or WhatsApp me. I just asked for the name for the message you sent me, but message me that on WhatsApp. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Dylan, I don't know how to end it. Do you? Do I just leave?
Leave.
Does it? Well,